Hey guys, welcome. I am Dune Monkey, and with me I have John once again, and we're back with more really high level Heart of the Swarm replays.
Yeah, Heart of the Swarm PvP. This should be very interesting.
And now one thing that I want to bring up about Heart of the Swarm and PvP in particular, Void Rays are extremely dominant in this matchup. I've seen it a lot in high level play. Void Rays crush almost anything. And the reason being because now they have the new ability. When they charge up, they do extra damage to armored, so Stalkers just melt to Void Rays. And Colossus, of course, melt to them also. So it's definitely interesting to see what players actually go for. I've also seen DTs being used a lot, and it because DTs are cheaper in Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah, the DTs being cheaper makes it, they come out faster, which is, that's always a good thing. If you get the DTs out a little quicker than your opponent, and before he's ready, they can do a ton of damage to a mineral line.
And of course, the Oracle is probably the most annoying unit if it does get in your mineral line, in my opinion. Then again, I'm sure some Protoss out there are arguing, be like, "No, have you ever seen a Widow Mine drop?" Because Widow Mines are also extremely annoying in Heart of the Swarm.
Widow Mine drops are scary.
And like, you know what they say, Widow Mines are some of the best defense a Terran can have. They're also some of the best offense a Terran can have. So, the best offense is a good defense. It's a true story.
Yeah, it is.
It's also why siege tanks are good.
Siege tanks are pretty good, especially in HotS. I like them in HotS.
Oh, yeah. Alright, so we have pretty standard just gateway, getting more pylons out here. Ooh, that's something that's different. A 2-gate from Facelessman. Oh, by the way, we forgot to introduce our players. In the bottom left corner, we have Shew, our red Protoss. I know his name is Flip Flop, but he goes by Shew.
And in the top right of the map, we've got our blue Protoss, Facelessman, who is doing this really interesting 2-gate first, then Cyber.
Now, one thing that I have a question about, John. If you're a faceless man, can you still hear and talk and see things?
I mean, does the Slender Man do that? I don't know, man. I don't know.
The world may never know.
I kind of don't want to find out.
Yeah, I don't think I want to become a faceless man or know what one is. Flip Flop here with his scout, seeing everything, seeing the double gateway being chroned out, and actually this is pretty a pretty actually epic play from Faceless, because he's basically forcing Flip Flop to get out early units, get out an extra gateway. As you can see, he threw down the gateway there pretty quickly when he saw the chrono boost going down on the gateways. So he knows he's going to need to defend this pretty heftily, but the mothership core also is something that's very widely used for defense.
Yeah, that mothership core, turning the Nexus into a cannon with its photon overcharge, is a very powerful defensive unit. And I wonder if he's going to be able to... Is he going to put one out? I don't think he is. I think he's just going to chrono out some Stalkers and then try and hold this off that way.
He is getting a mothership core out. It's just in production. It's not actually...
Oh, there it is now.
Out yet, but the 2-Stalker, 1 Zealot, 2-Stalker aggression, and then going straight into economy behind this. Now... this is quite interesting. There are 3 Stalkers, so they should be able to hold here, especially once the mothership core gets out. Boom, there it is, going to the back of the mineral line. And now, Flip Flop here, Mr. Shew, he's going to be able to... His warp gate's going to finish a lot quicker. And he does not have a proxy pylon anywhere yet. But will he get one in here? Only time will tell.
Oh, that mothership core caught out of position. It might get... Oh, it's close. It might... No, it's not going to get picked off. The Stalkers couldn't get there fast enough. But he might actually pick off a Stalker. Oh, the Time Warp slowing down.
Oh, very nice Time Warp.
Yeah, Time Warp slowing down the Stalkers on the ramp. And he loses a Stalker. Needs to micro that one away. There you go. And the other Stalker's coming up the ramp. One of the Stalkers stuck in the Time Warp dies. Oh, that's... Stalker's trying to get away. Oh, I lost the other Stalker. So... What's that? 1 worker killed, 5 units killed. Loses, what was that, 2 Stalkers there in that fight?
Yes. Now both players are doing a 2-gate robo play. It's actually quite interesting. It's a pretty defensive build here. It's actually a pretty legitimate defensive build. But Faceless Man has equipped his third gateway, whereas Shew here, he says, hey, I'm going to expand behind it. So we will see how that works out. For each player, of course, having an economy is better, but not if you can't keep up with the unit production. But these four Stalkers, they could push up in here, but now that this Immortal is out, it's going to be very difficult for them to. But this Mothership Core is actually extremely low on health.
Yeah, that Mothership Core is it's one of the most fragile units Protoss has. Definitely, in my opinion, it's one of the most fragile units you can have. But it's very important, so you gotta learn to keep it, gotta learn to micro it and keep it behind your army. But moving it up when you need to. Cast that time warp.
And now something else I feel that really affects the battles of this matchup. As the Protoss player moves in, especially because PvP is so, I'm attacking your base, now you're attacking my base, and I'm defending, and so on and so forth like that. There's a whole bunch of little tiny battles that happen. And I feel with the Mothership Core, if you have it with your army, you can use it in two ways. You can say, okay, I'm going to time warp the units, and hopefully I'm going to come out with the battle on top, right? Because you have that time warp ability. You have that extra little slow down the enemy units. Or the other thing you can use it for, if you're going on the offensive against your opponent, you can mass recall out of there, and actually catching these three Stalkers there is a very nice force field.
Very good force fields.
And now it looks like Faceless Man is going to go on the aggressive. Shew here actually has no Immortals out, which is going to be pretty terrible, but he does have a Void Ray.
Oh, that Void Ray coming out. There's only, what, one Stalker there? Or two Stalkers for Faceless? And 3 Sentries, and Sentries, they tickle stuff. Or 2 Sentries, that is. And they just tickle things. They don't actually do damage. We know that. But, yeah. He's trying to trap the Stalker in there. Is he going to be able to pick it off? Yeah, he's going to pick it off. But he's got to
tickled it to death. Now this Void Ray is out. And, Faceless Man, he's going to have to try and kill off that Void Ray before he actually wants to, get any damage done. Now, he can easily kill off this ground army. But the Photon Overcharge going down on the Nexus there, going to sort of thin this off for a little bit longer while he can get up more Void Rays. And the more and more Void Rays he gets in this army, the stronger this army is going to get. And of course he has this perfect observer saying, hey, I see your army.
Yep, that observer sees everything. He knows exactly where that army is going to be at all times right now. And that's really, that'll help you with your positioning. If you can position better than your opponent because you know where he's going to engage at, that's going to really help turn the tide of the battle.
And so now we're seeing a Mexican standoff. The only difference behind this is Shew has a better economy behind it. He has 2 bases. And here comes the engagement. A lot of Zealots getting in the front there. A lot of force fields trying to split the army and have some time warps going down. And of course we have that prismatic alignment ability going down on the Void Rays to do some extra damage there. Is kind of a little bit misused there, but it's all good. Flip-Flop trying to not lose any of his Void Rays. He did lose 1 there. And now Faceless is kind of on the really heavy offensive, going to, I would say, wipe out this base, but there's still 2 Void Rays in the sky, and that's just something that can't go unnoticed. 1 does go down there. The second one might go down here.
Yeah, it's going to be, he's going to lose that last Void Ray, and there's just still reinforcements coming in for Faceless with not really a lot coming out right now for Flip-Flop. So he's going to need to try a lot to be able to hold this. He's going to need to hit that force field, perfect force field right there. He's going to pull the Void Ray back before he loses it.
Wow, and you can just see how fast the Void Ray evaporates the Mothership Core, because the Mothership Core is one of the squishiest units, as John said earlier. And now Faceless is on this ramp, a nice force field there, going to be able to pick up the Immortals with that Void Ray.
Yep, it was a good job cutting off the Immortals from the rest of the army. Now they can't retreat, and yep, there you go. Good job picking them off. The Zealots warping in. And the Stalkers are going to try and chase down the Void Ray and the Mothership Core. And he's got to be able to micro this really well in order to keep those Stalkers alive. Because if he loses those Stalkers, this attack is over. But he is expanding behind this attack. So.
Oh wow, amazing time warp there. He says, "Hey, look, you can retreat, but my Zealots are going to be able to catch up to you if you want to do that." And totally destroying Faceless Man's army there, and he's going to retake his expansion. And he actually has a pretty large force now as compared to Faceless Man. I mean, Facelessman has actually nothing. It's 3 Stalkers and 3 Zealots.
Yeah,
Whereas
I mean,
Flip-Flop almost has nothing, but...
yeah, I mean, yeah. The only advantage right now I'd say Facelessman has is that he's got his Nexus is going to finish up a lot faster than Flip Flop's is, but Flip Flop has more workers. Granted, it's only 4 workers, but now it's 5. I mean, the worker lead's there, but he can't really use that to its fullest advantage since his Nexus is not going to be finished.
Oh no! This Observer! Jimmy, run! There you go.
Ooh, gets 1 hit on it. And he's going to go back into the main to see what's going on.
Took a shot in his butt, and then he's like, we're going back in, guys. All good here.
So, no more Voiders being produced. Actually, there's an Oracle on the way for Flip-Flop.
Ooh. Shew, you naughty banana. There's actually another Oracle already out, sort of sitting there. And so I feel like one thing that Protoss players can do in the mid-game now, once they get 2 or 3 Oracles, they can aggress with their main army and try to pull all of the opponent's forcing army to the front of their base, and then just move those few Oracles in the back of the main, and right there, boom. It doesn't matter if you have a photon cannon, they will destroy it, and your worker line. So it's kind of like the equivalent of the Terran mid-game with the multi-prong attacks, you know, dropping at 2 or 3 locations at one time. You can now do that with the Oracles. But Facelessman here, he is ready. He has a cannon. He has 3 Stalkers. That should hold just fine against 2 Oracles.
Yeah, the Oracles only do the bonus damage to light, and Stalkers are not light. They are actually armored. So they should be able to hold off against these 2 Oracles no problem. Not even going to get to fire their lasers.
Something that I haven't seen done a whole lot lately, or in March at all, but something that I'd like to see used more, is using the Oracles with your army, because they do extra damage to light. And for example, in this matchup, if a whole bunch of Zealots clashed together, and there were Colossus and Stalkers and everything, and you ran in 5 or 6 Oracles, and you turned their beam on, all of the Zealots would just, disappear extremely fast, because of the extra damage to light, and it just does extra damage in general. It's crazy. It's crazy the damage it does. It does 15. And as you can see, as it takes out this pylon here, how quickly it actually is.
Yeah, and another thing I like about it is, in case you don't want to go Robo, you're not forced to go Robo as Protoss anymore, because now with the Oracle's new ability, what is that? Envision, it lets you see cloaked units. It acts as an observer.
Indeed it does, and it doesn't cost a whole lot of energy at all to use that ability. Keep that in mind. And it actually looks kind of cool when it uses it. A little pulse waves come off of it. But he's going to see that Facelessman wants to take a 3rd, and meanwhile he's taking his 3rd already, getting more Voiders up there, and he's just going to focus on the Nexus here. I don't know. I don't think he's going to get it. No, he ran out of energy there.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to force the cancel it. And the Stalkers are coming up here, and they might actually be able to pick off on it. Oh, no, if he saw them coming, he's going to get out of there before the Stalkers are able to do any damage. And, oh, this is weird. Psystorm's going down. Facelessman's researching Psystorm.
Now, something that I do know is if you take a whole bunch of Voids, right, John? You take a whole bunch of Voids, and you clump them all together, and then you A-click towards a location, and say there's a few Stalkers in that location, and then 4 High Templar come out and they storm all the Voids, your Voids are gone.
Oh, true. I didn't think about that, because, you know, Wings of Liberty, you never go Sky Toss. HotS, whole new story. Whole new story.
Indeed, but one thing that you need to be careful about, especially with going for storms against Sky Toss, is the Tempest, because you want to walk your High Templar forward, well, guess what? You have gigantic balls of lightning flying towards your units from extremely far range.
Yeah, the Tempest range is absolutely crazy, and it used to be a lot crazier than it actually is now. What was it, 21 range it used to have? With the upgrade you could get?
I believe it had 32 at one point with the upgrade.
Oh my god.
And that is, it was insane, to be honest.
Yeah, that's just way... And it also did splash damage to air.
It was originally made to counter the Mutalisk. I believe that was Blizzard's original concept. They were like, we want a anti-air that does area of effect damage that's a flying unit. And then they were like, oh my gosh, that would be so imbalanced. So they changed it up and they made it work.
Yeah, I mean, the only I don't really see Tempest actually used in 1v1s and HOTS. I usually see them,
Really?
in the free-for-alls where they can abuse the terrain a lot easier because
I
there's...
see them all the time in 1v1s.
Oh, wow.
I if it blah blah blah. If a Protoss can get 3 or 4 bases, get up 3 or 4 Stargates, carry your Tempest with maybe a few Voids in there, it's insane. Along with just mass Voids with some Tempest in the back, overall it's crazy.
I can imagine. I know they get abused a lot on 2v2 games where there's a lot of open space for air and they just hover there where the ground units can't touch them. And it forces everything to come to it, which is also really bad because they get first shot.
Indeed, something else that the High Templars do counter. Of course, we had the photon overcharge go down there as the oracles approached. The High Templar, they can feedback these oracles, and if it does not kill them, because it will probably take away their shields, it could actually kill them though in one shot. It could definitely devour their souls if it needed to, but it'll just take away all the energy. And oracles without energy, just like infestors or High Templar or mothership cores without energy, are completely useless.
Yeah, that's... I mean...
Well, the mothership core is actually useful without energy, but...
Kinda. It's a little better than the Sentry.
About as useful as a Marine.
A single Marine.
Yeah.
Without stim.
Without stim, indeed.
Actually, I do know one thing. If you can get a good storm off with High Templars against carriers, their interceptors will melt. If you can storm
Really?
it right. Yep, the same thing goes for fungals. If you can get a good fungal, I think it's one fungal destroys the interceptor. So if you can catch them all as they're firing, it'll kill all the interceptors really fast. But that applies to Zerg.
Wow. That is absolutely crazy. So how many voids do we have here? I'm going to go ahead and take a look here. I do like Facelessman's decision to go for Archons, and I feel like if he had a mothership get a Vortex down, that would be actually, wait.
The Vortex has
doesn't
changed.
even exist! It doesn't even exist. I totally forgot about that. I am extremely sorry.
I miss the Vortex. What do I do against Zerg now, dude? What do I do? I just cry at night now against Zerg. That's my strategy.
Now you just get Tempest. Tempest are a great counter to the Broodlord and the Ultra.
Yeah, they do outrange the Broodlord by a lot.
Yeah, they're really good against Broodlords. That's the new counter to Broodlords. If you want to know the counter to Ultralisk, don't ask me.
I would assume Blink Stalker.
Because they are armored, and Voids are shoot down and stuff. But even then, maybe not, I don't know. But Shew here, moving across the map with his Death Ball combined with some Void Rays and pretty much standard Death Ball after that. Except no Stalkers. That is something that's interesting here.
Yeah, no, Flip-Flop does have the supply advantage, but Faceless definitely has the tech advantage. He's at 1-1-2, while Flip-Flop is only at 1-1. And he does take out the Nexus, the Archon's moving up. Archon's stuck in the Time Warp, actually, and the splash damage is going crazy on the Void Rays. He's having to pull him back. Blinks up, catches some of the Colossus. This actually could be really good for Faceless.
The Time Warp is great there. All of the High Templar evaporating, though. Literally, I like that word, evaporate. Should use it more often. Oh, the Warp Prism and the Oracle's getting in there. They're like, hey, we came to the party.
Showing up a little late, losing some Colossus, but he's also taking down the Nexus, and oh, there's the GG.
Yeah, and the difference between the positions at that point, Flip-Flop had lost out a lot of his army, but he had taken out a base. He had a huge economy behind that he could keep rebuilding if he needed to. 2,000 gas, all of that could have been invested into either DTs, which we saw the Dark Shrine on the way, and more upgrades, more Colossus, and even then, some Sky Toss if he needed it be.
Oh, Sky Toss.
Alright. Well, further ado, we shall have more replays in the future.
Yep, we should be uploading some Maybe tomorrow. Actually, we should definitely do it tomorrow.
If you guys do not mind, please hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed. Also hit that like button, and also throw us down a comment. And here's going to be the question to prompt you to throw down that comment. If you were part of the Blizzard balancing team, what changes would you have made to the Warhound had it have been released differently? So that is my question. If you do not know what the Warhound is or any of that, feel free to Google it. Have some information there about it.
If you Google OP, you should find Warhound.
I remember going back at the beginning of beta, and I did the unit tester, and I did every unit against a max to 200 Warhound army, and everything lost except
everything
air.
lost except air. That is ridiculous.
It was insane. Actually, I think Banelings were the ones that came the closest to winning, and even then it was like, I think there was 2 or 3 Warhounds left after that.
That's 200 micro or no micro armies, right? Though.
Yes.
Okay. So that's with no micro. Assuming that, I mean, micro could change it. You never know. Warhound's just really powerful.
That is 400 Banelings against a whole lot of Warhounds. I don't know if they costed 2 supplies, so it might have been 100 Warhounds.
It's still a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy the fact that that can happen. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I have John with me here today. You can find a link to his channel somewhere by clicking on the screen. And if you want to see more replays, let us know in the comments also. And we'll see you guys next time.